Green, huh?
Yes, it is.
I'm sorry that Dr. Casper's got called out, and he's from Europe, and he was feeling a little bit, he's a young resident in training here, and I'm the senior staff member, and one of my specialties is family therapy. So I know you came to the clinic, and you don't know really what to do with your son, apparently.
Irate. I'm irate.
You're irate. And you feel that you're under pressure at work. You're a military man. You're a Vietnam vet.
Exactly.
I was looking at the records, and you feel that actually at work you might lose your promotion that's coming up after all these years if the guys get wind that your son is copping out from doing his duty.
Exactly. How do you think they would look on me at work?
Yeah.
And people think, here, you make bombs, and yet your son won't even go to war to fight.
Uh-huh.
And to use what you made, to put to test these great inventions, these great thoughts that keep us safe and keep everyone else at home.
Right. Well, tell me a little bit about your Vietnam experience. You got wounded.
Yeah.
I understand it's in the record that was that a shrapnel wounding?
Yes, it was. Stepped on a landmine.
Uh-huh. So you're lucky to be alive, actually, huh?
Not yet. Lucky.
So,
but still, I was scared when I went, but still, I did it. And I came home in almost one piece. I lost a little bit of piece, but still, I came home. And I ended up being on 51 now and have a family.
tell me, Mr. Green, did your attitude change at all from, your apprehension when you went over there as a young draftee, you did your duty, and we've heard a lot. I wasn't personally there in a tour duty, but well, because I was working in the hospital, and I was dealing with a lot of veterans who came back wounded, and some of them had post-traumatic stress disorder, and by talking to the veterans of Vietnam, it seems though a lot of people got disillusioned with it. As you look upon it now, even though you did your duty, by 1975, the United States government basically pulled out. Do you feel kind of a sense of that you might have sacrificed, and I'm sure you had friends that died over there.
Most definitely.
Do you feel that they might have died in vain in some way?
No, we were fighting for a cause. We were there for a cause, and we ended up with the end result. The cause was finished.
And what was the end result?
We won the war.
Well, there have been a few documentaries these days.
Yeah, I've seen those, and I don't believe in them.
Yeah. You feel 100% you did your duty, and it was a very valuable thing, so you kind of believe in that domino theory, huh?
Domino theory?
Well, they said...
I'm a veteran of the Vietnam War.
I understand that. I'm sorry for asking you this, but I'm trying to do a complete case history here. Have you been under treatment at all ever since coming back?
No.
So
I got my foot fixed, and now I'm able to
so your
go on with my life.
your nerves are sort of all right.
My nerves are fine.
And you haven't had any bouts of drinking or anything?
Sure, I drink.
You drink occasionally. Do you mind if I make a few notes?
That's fine.
Okay.
Who doesn't drink, though?
I understand. And so you feel like your son's kind of being a wimp?
Definitely.
Uh-huh.
He carries this little purse thing around. What is that all about?
Have you asked them?
Doesn't give me an answer.
Uh-huh. So there's only one thing that will make it better for you and your son.
That's the way I see it.
And that is that he has to do his duty.
Exactly.
But is one of the things you fought for, though, for the right of people back in America to have the freedom to choose, though?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Could you tell that to your son? Let's suppose your son is standing right over there. Could you look at him and tell him, son, one of the things we fought for, to have freedom of expression and freedom to choose in America, I fought that war for you to have choices. Do you think you could actually tell him that? You mean you feel that, but you can't bring yourself to
It's
tell him?
hard for me to visualize it through my son. I feel that he should have to follow in my steps and do what I had to do and feel what I felt.
Uh-huh. So on the one hand, maybe this hand here, this is the hand of duty, huh?
I would say so.
And maybe that's the hand that used to pull the trigger to a rifle, huh?
Exactly.
And on the other hand, this other hand, there's a part of you, is it true that there's a part of you that thinks, well, wars are fought for freedom and for Americans to make choices and they actually have the choice to say yes or no to something?
Yeah.
Is there, and what part of you do you think is that? The part of you that thinks, well, maybe a tiny part of you thinks he should have some choice. What part, how much of a part of you is that?
Part's probably pretty small since I've always been in charge.
Yeah.
And made decisions for people, for our country, for our defense.
It's, you know, I think there's some people in the corridor back there. Could you quiet down in the corridor back there? And, I'll close the door. There was a little
That's all right.
confusion in the hallway. But so there is a part of you that thinks that maybe fighting a war for freedom back in America is sort of to give people choices.
Yeah.
And then there's the part of you that thinks, well, I'm a man, we have to make hard choices, you got to do your duty.
Yeah.
And it's almost as if...
You know, life isn't easy. You got to keep making those steps, even though the steps might be hard. You got to keep making those steps and proceed all the way to the top.
Okay, but I want to hear about this part of you, though.
This hand.
What,
this hand doesn't talk that much. This one does.
okay, but if we were to give that part of you a chance to talk to this other part of you, what would it say?
It would say that we do have choices.
Uh-huh.
Choices to make choices to decide what we want to do, whether we should fight, whether we shouldn't fight.
Uh-huh.
But this hand always overtakes it. He says,
Well, what would it say to that part of you? That's the gentle part of you, I suppose, huh?
yes.
And what would that part say to this other part of you? How does it respond?
How does this part, my soft side, respond to?
Well, when this part of the duty part, the obligation, the
takes
tough
over.
part,
It takes over.
What
This
does
one
it say?
doesn't respond anymore.
No, you mean
It takes over.
this part overwhelms this part of
Exactly.
you. So would your son right now is like what part of you?
Right now, I don't know if I have a son.
Yeah, but I'm getting the
He's
impression.
He's not proven anything to me
Yeah,
yet.
but it seems to me that what I'm hearing from you right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that your son is more like your left hand. He's more that the pacifist, or the one who thinks that wars have already been fought for people to make choices. I mean, there is. Do you think he's gotten some of that message a little bit from you?
I think so, or most likely from his mother.
Uh-huh.
Like I told the other doctor, that's her son, and I have the two other boys are my son. That's what I can
So
say.
you feel kind of disconnected from him.
Exactly.
And, but I'm wondering though, is it safe to think about it that over the years, he's 18 years old, that he's experienced a side of you that maybe, you know, is not 100% militaristic or sure about things. Do you think he might have gotten some messages over the year from you, from that part of you that is more gentle and
The gentle part, my wife only sees it.
your wife?
My children have never seen that gentle part too much.
Uh-huh.
I've been the boss.
And you kind of grew up thinking that that's what it means to be a man. Huh?
Exactly.
And what would happen if your son saw that more gentle side of you? What do you think would happen?
I'll become queer or something. I don't know.
You think you'd become queer? What? In doing the case history here, because if we're thinking of, I know you want me to see your son and maybe your wife or the whole family to get a picture here, so we can see what good can come out of all this. And I think as a man, it's a very good thing that you've decided to come to the clinic because you are concerned. one way or another.
I can't sleep at night. I can't do anything with myself, and I'm so. I mean, my blood pressure is so high right now. I can't. I might die. So I'm worried about if my son's going to go to war or not.
Do I hear you saying that actually you have a little bit of apprehension that he might die too? Is that what you're saying?
Could be part of it.
Huh. Do you think you could ever tell him that?
Maybe before I left. Tell him good luck.
You kind of on the last day, as you take him to the bus station.
Exactly.
You know, for his physical, you might tell him that, huh? So what I'm hearing you saying though is you have this gentle part of you, and you're kind of afraid to express it with your son.
In some ways.
In some ways he might become queer or not be a man or not be tough. And maybe you need to be tough in a war situation to survive.
That's what you have to be.
Uh-huh.
Only the weak, or only the strong survive. Weak die.
Yeah. But there's that part of you though that I'm experiencing today that kind of has these feelings, and then you're not able to express them to your son. Would things get any worse with your son if you express this part of yourself to him?
I don't know.
You don't know.
They couldn't get worse. I'm sure it couldn't get worse. It'd probably give her more of a reason not to go.
And then that would make the other part of you that seems to be dominant right now feel like you've lost control and
Completely.
you're going to get into trouble with the guys at work. What about your dad? What does he think about all this?
He's dead.
He's dead, huh? And just in terms of, case history?
He died in Korea.
Oh, he died in Korea. So you were a child when he died then?
Correct.
And was that traumatic for you?
It was hard.
It was hard, huh?
Had to grow up to be the man of the house.
So right off the bat, your mother put some were you the oldest son?
Yes.
And
I had
so,
2 sisters.
And so that put a lot of pressure on you. Uh-huh. So as I'm hearing your story now, I'm beginning to understand more and more the pressure you're under almost. Huh? It's almost as if he has to do what he has to do almost for your own father as well. Huh?
Yeah.
Do you see any possibility of this pressure easing up?
I can't see it happening.
Because you have high blood pressure, you're telling me, huh?
Yes.
That's not a good thing, huh?
Too much salt.
Too much salt.
That's what the doctor tells me.
Yeah. Well, we also, I don't know if anybody's told you, but, the tension of holding in your anger can cause high blood pressure. I'm wondering if, though, one of the things that I'm experiencing from you is that you're actually holding in not anger, but these gentle feelings you have and legitimate fear, because you already lost your father in Korea as a child, and now here you are. The years fly by. Your son's facing the draft. You survived. You had a shrapnel wound. But the statistics might be not very good. Maybe, it's a kind of a tense situation in a European theater. Is it a trade-off between pleasing your son and pleasing them at work? Is that?
I think it's more a trade-off of pleasing my son and pleasing my father.
Uh-huh. And he's passed away.
Exactly.
Do you pray every now and then? Do you have a feeling?
I talk to him in my own ways.
Have you asked for his advice in this matter?
No.
I know we're working pretty hard here between getting all the case history. It's only our first session, but I'm trying to understand, the full impact of your problem. What if you could talk to your father right now? What would you tell him? What would you want to tell him?
Probably ask him why he left me.
Okay,
To be the man.
Okay.
To grow up the way I had to grow up.
Okay. Why don't you ask him?
I just did.
Okay. What do you think he would say to you?
I had to do what I had to do.
All right.
Didn't have a choice.
Uh-huh. So why don't you get his opinion then, since you feel connected to him spiritually? why don't you ask him what should happen with your own son, his grandson? Can you ask him that?
Sure.
Okay, why don't you ask him?
Father, what should I do about my boy? Where should I put him? What should I allow him to do? Should I let him make a decision on his own, flee the country, or should I force him?
And what do you think he'd say to you now?
What did you do? Did you have a choice? You had a choice, didn't you? My choice was either to flee the country or go to war. I chose to go to war.
Okay, so your dad now asked you, basically saying, well, what choice did you have? What choice did he have? Is there something you'd want to tell your dad at this point? I mean, what would you tell him?
Maybe ask him, why did he make the choice of not going to war?
So maybe, in other words, if he had made the choice not to go to war, things might have turned out different for you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I would still have a father.
Uh-huh.
You know? You might be 70 or 80 years old, but I might still have a father.
I'm experiencing the loss of your father in the past, and your dread actually of losing your son in the future. It kind of destroys the past, your past, and actually your future, even though you survived the Vietnam War. And if you didn't have a choice, or your father didn't have a choice, could you help your son have a choice now? To maybe get
Sure,
out?
I could. It's breaking the law.
Breaking the law. Well, since your family's already given your own father to defending freedom of choice and American democracy, and you sacrificed, do you think you could take a little generational vacation and maybe allow yourself to think that maybe you deserve a respite? Because it would be really rough for you, wouldn't it?
It would be.
If you lost your son in that war.
I have 2 more boys, though.
Yeah, I know, but I'm experiencing you, though.
Only the strong survive.
Only the strong survive.
Well, Doctor, I feel like I've had a big release off of my chest just by talking with you today, but I think I might have to hold the rest of this to another session.
Okay. What would you like to see happen? What would you like me to do for the next session? Would you be willing to come in? Do you want me to speak to
I'd probably
your son
have
and
my boy come in.
Do you think it would be good to see him and you together?
No, I don't think so.
Well, why?
I'd like you to hear his side of the story first,
Okay,
and then we could do another session.
Okay, would you be open to, the way I see it, from what I'm understanding here, I think it might make sense that I see him like you recommend, alone, then I see the 2 of you together, then maybe I see the whole family together. Is that
would
be willing to do? And I want to tell you, Mr. Green, I think it's really good that you took the time out from work to accommodate our schedule down here. I know you had to take time out from work this afternoon, and so I'm happy, and I want to say that I'm glad I met you. Maybe we can work this out.